Rogan Report podcast. Check it out.
All things Joe Rogan by day. Rogan Report podcast by night. All day. All night. Half hour to an hour-ish episodes once a week.
The Rogan Report podcast.
All right, Shane, welcome to The Basement, Season 2, Episode 34.
Here we are again.
Here we are.
I want to say right off the top, if you listen to us on Spotify, they fucked us in our Jacksies last week.
Oh.
They did not put it up. I emailed Libsyn.
Jerks.
Libsyn told me to sit on my ass, basically, and wait.
Oh, they fucked us.
It's still not up, as
Okay.
I checked this morning. So
You can't use the term right off the top, though, because that is a segment.
Oh,
that
that's
I
right.
have. So,
I kind of fucked you a
so
little
you
bit
can't,
there.
for future reference, don't use that phrase.
If you were really listening, though, I didn't say right off the top pick.
No, you didn't.
So if you know us, you know.
Yeah, which you do, of course.
Yeah, let's rewind that back.
You've listened to all 30 episodes.
I have. That's
33
truth.
episodes.
That's
Not
the
you.
truth.
I'm talking to the listeners.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
They're
all
listening
the
too.
listeners have listened to all the episodes, or don't. Just listen to like the last 6 when we caught our stride. I don't know.
Yeah.
Table of contents. So we're gonna right off the topic. I wanted to talk about the North Country Fair.
Of course.
You wanted to talk about
I've got some news points.
some news points to
Yep.
bring up. You texted or sent me a picture of your notes,
Of my
which I
chicken
kind of
scratcher.
perused a little bit. And then for our like Rogan breakdowns, I wanted to talk about the latest episode 1320. Eric Weinstein.
Great show.
Weinstein, not Steen. Stein.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steen is that perv bastard.
Does he say? Yeah, he went
Yeah.
over that. Steen, for sure.
It's
Not Stein.
Harvey Weinstein, Eric Weinstein.
Oh, he's a Stein.
He's the Stein.
See,
not
I had
Steen.
it, even though they
No,
clarified
yeah.
it. I still had it off.
It's Stein for sure. Like the drinking glass. S-T-I-N, a Stein.
That makes
It
sense.
should be Stein. I think even people that call Harvey Weinstein, and which he prefers,
Yeah.
are wrong. They're not saying it correctly. It's Stein.
So what about the Berenstain Bears? Actually,
no.
it's spelled S-T-A-I-N.
Yeah, then they're
Technically.
Berenstain Bears.
But it really isn't. But that's
Mm.
not this show.
Yeah.
Go check out
Oh.
It's a Conspiracy for that show.
Yeah, they did break that down, and
They have a Mandela Minute every
Yeah,
episode.
they do. They do. I had gone through a bunch of Mandela effect things,
Me
but
too.
that's for another topic.
Yeah. Off we go into
Um,
the tangents.
The other thing, so I want to talk about 1320, Eric Weinstein. You wanted to kind of talk about 1315, Bob Lazar,
Yeah, man.
and aliens.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we have to kind of make some predictions and breakdowns of UFC 239, which will be
Right away here.
very exciting. We're recording this mere hours before UFC takes place.
Yep.
Saturday, late afternoon, early evening. I don't know, 6:15 p.m. right now.
See what Pico Jones gets up to tonight.
He's gonna crush him, and he's gonna get busted for steroids again. That's the I wish I could
Only
put
not,
that.
though. At this point, they're like, it's
Yeah.
Picos. What are you going to
Yeah,
do?
obviously he's got some picos.
This time it was
so-
more Picos. What?
Yeah.
It
was some
fluctuates.
Picos. He was fluxing high on the picos, and he won. And I wish I could put that into my bookie bet. I'd be like, I bet John Jones to win by knockout and with high picos.
Within 24 hours. Yeah.
All right, let's get into right off the topic. So I want to talk about the 41st annual North Country Fair. That's what kind of set me back on catching up on all the Joe Rogan episodes. I've been listening at 1.5 times the speed, which sometimes I'm realizing is probably better. Because sometimes when you listen to people talk and they're talking slowly because they're thinking while they're saying, trying to think of what they're going to say while they're talking.
Right.
And I'm sure this happens to me all the time as well. They
Totally.
speak a little slower, and it's like when you just hit that 1.5 times speed, it actually makes the whole thing sound a little better. And I'm not spending 4 hours listening to an
It's
episode.
interesting you say that because actually a lot of YouTubers deliberately speed up their videos just to
do
keep
they?
attention spans, right? Because
Ah.
I think the average YouTube watch is 4 minutes and 8 seconds.
That totally
the
makes
last
sense.
time I looked. So
Yeah, now that I think about watching some of the like YouTubers, I can tell that they're doing that.
oh yeah, totally.
Jerks. Anyway, so the festival was June 20th to 23rd. I was up there on the 18th on Tuesday to help build playgrounds
Oh, nice.
for the kids. And
Excellent
I got to like put my fist up in the air and say for the kids
Was
many
it
times.
a lot of that, I bet.
Yeah, that was my main motivation.
Yeah.
It was fun. I'm not the handiest guy. Like I have some minor skills that I inherited from my dad, but like I don't work in the trades, so
Right.
I'm not I'm not used to having a tape measure strapped to my belt. But we ended up getting it done, and there was people smarter and more manly than I was. But the problem is they bought this structure. So we're building a structure in the playground. And they bought this structure from a city or a town or a school or something used. So it had been set up. When they bought it, they took one picture of it from one angle, fully assembled, and then they have about 15 other pictures in like various states of disassemble from like other angles. We were like, what the fuck is this? So it was really a challenge to get all the right pieces in the right place. And then when you're putting it together, you also have to make sure that you're really like everything has to be plumb and level and very accurately placed, because like if you're out 1 centimeter here and then 3 centimeters here, then by the time you get to the end of it, you're like 10 centimeters out.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, there was a lot of like me standing around while like people who are actually skilled at this kind of thing like use tape measures,
just waiting to be directed to something.
And then they're like, okay, Reubs, cut like 15 of these boards at 35 inches. And I'm like, okay, and then I work for like 15 minutes, and I had about 20 hours of availability there, and I feel like I did about 4 hours worth of work.
That's a long day, I bet.
It was, it's kind of, I mean, I don't know. I'm standing around with like-minded people shooting the shit, so it's fine.
People you knew, or
yeah, some I knew, some I didn't. That's kind of the way it usually is.
Yeah.
The best standout performance for me of the fair was there's a group called the Hypochondriacs, and they were super rad. And I just got to see them on the like small kids stage at 1 a.m. on Friday night.
Oh, nice.
And it was really like the only thing that I was like, okay, I definitely want to make sure I see this show, and I did.
When you say kids stage, you mean like teenage groups? They're using that, or
no? There's a small stage that's right beside the playground, and during the day they have like more like family kind of acts there. But then after like 10 p.m. when all the kids are gone to sleep in their little pup tents, then they put like bigger acts on this stage, and it's a place where you can see like the best bands play in like a more intimate, like smaller setting. Yeah. And it's always one of my favorite places to be.
Sweet.
Especially if you're on mushrooms and watching like amazing music.
Which you were?
Well, allegedly.
If you lived in like Colorado, you would have been?
Yeah. There was a lot of rain though, a lot of mud up there this year. One of my friends rented a U-Haul and tried to drive it in and got it stuck on this like angle. It was sitting so the like front passenger side wheel was like fully submerged in mud, but then the other 3 wheels were kind of like the back driver side wheel was almost fully out. It was on this weird like cockeyed angle.
Yeah,
fully stuck in there. And she ended up having to get a whole bunch of people to come and put straps around her vehicle and pull it out, and so that they got it out of there, got it free, and she drives about like 15 feet straight into another mud pile and gets stuck again. And I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
It's the
operator. To go around it. So
shit,
that was something. There was also, it's funny, there's this Pontiac Sunfire, blue Sunfire, 1994-ish, and it's in this little gully, like stuck again, like up to the axles in mud. And me and my girlfriend Angie were like, holy shit, that is not a good spot for that car. Whoever parked it here is an idiot. And then we found out later that some idiot had been joyriding it and like got drunk and then was like, oh, I'm gonna go drive in the mud and do some donuts and stuff, and had been like joyriding it and got it stuck there, and then got arrested by the police and thrown into jail
for drunk driving.
Yeah. So
Jesus.
Don't do that. As good of an idea as it might sound.
Bad news.
Yeah, and it probably fucked up his wheels too. Like you shouldn't.
No doubt.
Yeah, it's not good for your bearings and shit.
It's a fine
to
car too to be playing like that with.
Yeah, shenanigans. So, anyways, that was the North Country Fair. It was a lot of fun. Highly recommend. Any listeners want a fun festival to go to?
Yeah,
one of the freest festivals in the earth, and a great time.
Nice. Me, I've just got some news points.
Sure.
Actually, last night California was hit by a 7.1 earthquake. Following Thursday's 6.4, I think it was, earthquake.
Wow.
So things are popping off in California.
Yeah, God is angry.
Really angry.
And fucking Gomorrah over there is going to get smited.
Yeah. Apparently it was the largest earthquake in 20 years in California.
Wow.
Yesterday.
Any reports on damages?
Yeah, like not conclusive, but they were talking in the millions, like a bunch of millions. Looters came to this town, Ridgecrest, which was like really close to the epicenter or whatever, but looters came and Looted up Ridgecrest.
Yeah, stole all the electronics out of
As
all
they
the
do.
electronic stores.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, anyway, moving on. We got Amazon founder Jeff Bezos' divorce is final.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about this before.
Yep.
The wife came in at a whopping $38.3 billion.
Yeah.
Talk about marrying the right fella.
Hope she does something nice with that money.
Yeah, for sure. Probably not.
No.
Nobody with $38 billion does things nice.
Evil people have $38 billion.
Yeah, it's kind of evil inherently to have that much money, I feel
Yeah,
like.
it kind of is. Yeah.
Yeah.
There was actually just a really good, the last episode of Last Week Tonight, John Oliver, he was talking about Amazon and, how they're kind of shitty to their workers. And
Oh, really?
apparently 2 bear sprays have gone off by like improper, the robots trying to package things and then things going wrong. And they end up puncturing a bear spray and then they have to evacuate the building.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah. So when the robots eventually take over, remember, they struck first and twice.
Oh, shit.
That's what John Oliver was saying.
I could see them being actually like really bad to their workers because they're pushing for the robotics hardcore, right? Like the drone flying and all that.
Yep.
There won't even be workers eventually.
That's
So-
the goal.
Yeah. And then one more point this week. Stranger Things season 3 came out. If you haven't seen it, go watch it.
I haven't started the season 3 yet, no, but I
pretty
did
good.
watch 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I know Rogan's a big fan of the
Really
Stranger
good.
Things.
Really fucking good.
It is. It's a great, like, they do a really good job of kind of establishing tone on that show, and like there's a definite like atmosphere that it creates, and yeah, I'm a big fan.
The whole 80s thing, it's for sure a little bit biased for me because I grew up in that era.
Yeah, of course, me
all
too.
that shit like hits home
Yeah.
so much for me.
It was written for us.
Yeah, totally.
All right. So let's get into it then. JRE 1320, Eric Weinstein. Stein, not Steen. I got to give honorable mention to the episode with Abby Martin, too. That was a great episode. I almost
Totally.
picked that one. She was blowing my mind on a couple of crazy things happening around the world.
Yeah.
But Eric Weinstein, they started talking about, they actually talked in this episode about the Steen versus Stein.
They did.
Yet again, but we still have a hard time remembering.
Still got it wrong.
Yeah.
I feel like the Berenstain Bears are at fault, though.
Berenstain
They've thrown the
Bears.
whole thing in. Well, I'm going to say Steen because that's how I remember it, but that's okay.
Then they got into what a miracle hemp is and how cannabis became illegal for about the 70th time. And it got me thinking, like, one thing on this podcast, I'm always like worried that I'm like repeating some story or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, fuck, I shouldn't be doing that. I want to say new things every episode.
Right.
But then when I listen to Rogan, like, he repeats
It's done
himself.
pretty good for
Yeah,
Joe.
there's some things that are like that are just drilled to death. And
It's like
it
as soon
doesn't
as you
really-
hear him one word of a sentence, you already
Yeah,
know
you
what
know.
he's about to say. Like
Totally.
it's instantly.
Yeah. And that doesn't really bother
This
me.
time though, he actually said something a little different when describing William Randolph Hearst. Is that it?
Yeah, that was the fucking asshole.
This
that-
time he goes, I should really look into this more because all I've really heard is the stoner's opinion on this,
Mm.
which I don't think he's ever said before. He's never like thrown it in any shade on it whatsoever. He's always talked about it like it's complete fact.
Interesting. Well, it is fact. And,
It is, but-
yeah, that asshole did do this all because of the economics of it.
Right.
Not wanting to invest because the decorticator was invented, which broke down hemp more efficiently, and he didn't want to have to convert his paper mills to using hemp for his newspapers that he owned. So he printed stories in the newspapers about how Mexicans are coming over the border using this new drug, marijuana, and which really just meant like Mexican weed, I believe.
Yeah.
And using this new drug, marijuana, and then raping white women.
Actually,
And
the
got
word
everyone all
marijuana
scared.
is actually, I think it's a wild kind of tobacco. It's not
Oh,
even,
is that what it
it's not
is?
even cannabis.
Okay, yeah.
The word marijuana.
I knew it was not associated. It's not the correct term. And I try not to say it. I just say cannabis.
It bugs
for the
me,
most
and
part.
even like the Canadian government still uses it.
Yeah,
pretty,
jerks.
pretty prolifically. Like,
Yeah,
it's not the word. Let's get sciencey about it.
totally. But then, that was all kind of preamble to the really fascinating discussion, which was like the last half of that episode. Did you listen to this episode?
I did. Yeah.
Good.
I'm actually caught up on all of the Rogans.
Oh,
now.
wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. I actually still have to. I didn't listen to the MMA show with Eve.
All right, I dipped out in the MMA show.
All right. Okay. Well, we're both going into the UFC blind, I guess.
A little bit.
A little bit. But the whole discussion of biology versus culture and the influence of those things, just always fascinating to me. And I wish that I was smarter and I could speak more eloquently about it the way Eric Weinstein does. He's like so knowledgeable on the subject and can speak so well about it. But one of my favorite quotes that I heard in here, "We are now gods, but for the wisdom."
Right.
gods.
Didn't he
but
coin that thing right there on the podcast?
Was that
Because
what-
Joe was like, wow, that's a great quote.
it is a fantastic quote.
Because he didn't quote
'cause
anyone.
we
after
do
that.
have like godlike abilities. If if there was a cave person that came here and saw what we could do, they would definitely think we were gods, or even just a person maybe from like the 1200s.
For sure.
But yeah, we're not doing the wise things in that we are destroying this world, and he wants to leave. That was one of the big parts of the discussion. Was he's like, we got to get the fuck off this planet because
It's already too late.
yeah, the Donald Trumps of the world are just always going to be taking power and being assholes about it.
Yeah, it's
So
such a great point, though. It's like we're smart but stupid at the same time.
yeah,
Like the
Well-
wisdom thing is what's missing. 100%.
yeah. So hopefully we can catch up, and I don't know.
Do you feel like that's maybe the religion that a lot of the modern era is kind of thrown off? That's missing, kind of maybe. That's the missing
Religion
wisdom?
would
that kind of brings the wisdom in some ways. Like not all religions, obviously, but some more than others. For
yeah,
sure.
in some ways it provides a framework for people.
I'm thinking Buddhism. Like,
Mhm.
would we be here if everybody was a Buddhist? Probably not, right?
Probably not, but we wouldn't be scrambling to create new technologies either.
No,
We would
right?
all-
Would we still all be praying in robes and,
Yeah.
and not have cars or anything?
No one would
yet?
have any worldly possessions. We would, be farming, I guess, because that's what they did. But
Yeah.
it's
It's
pretty-
really easy
pretty
for us
simple
on
way
our
of life.
high horse to say like it would be so much better to go back, but they had to shit in holes.
Yeah.
They had to shower once a year.
No, there's a lot of
Like-
great things that have come from technology,
like-
but then there's assholes that are using technology irresponsibly.
Yeah,
So-
totally.
We got to wise up and fucking get those assholes out of power.
Probably not gonna happen.
Come 2020,
I mean,
fuck Trump.
a lot of people are saying
Fuck
Trump's
Jason
getting
Kenney.
that next one too, and I kind of tend to probably agree that's probably gonna happen.
Ah, I hope not. I don't know. I think that's probably the biggest reason to vote for Biden, because he's just a more reasonable, Bernie. I love Bernie. I love a lot of the things that he says, most of the things that he says.
Yeah.
But I just don't think he's center enough to kind of sway.
That's what it is. We can't have anyone on the one side anymore.
No.
Doesn't work.
All right. So, yeah, highly recommend. Go check out episode 1320, Eric Weinstein. Let's talk about 1315, Bob Lazar and Jeremy Corbell.
Yeah, man, for sure. So he has a Netflix special out right now. Bob Lazar, well, Jeremy Corbell, the filmmaker, has a Netflix special
Mhm.
out about Bob Lazar called Bob Lazar, Area 51 and Flying Saucers. Did you watch that?
I haven't yet.
I watched it.
Did you? And what'd you think?
The
Were you
podcast-
compelled?
The podcast was better, honestly.
Oh, yeah?
The podcast I got more information out of.
Lazar?
You know what bugs me about the thing is that Jeremy Corbell fellow.
Really?
He's the one that seems fucking hokey.
Really?
Like I actually
He's trying to
believe
make
Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
Honestly,
I don't know.
I don't know
It's-
that it was alien craft. I believe that he worked on some shit he didn't understand.
Maybe. What about when he talks about going into the craft and there was like no hard edges on anything and yeah, I
And
do
the Element 115 thing when
Yeah.
they actually had another sort of fuel.
some of my bullshit meters go off even when Lazar is talking, and maybe he believes what he's talking about.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah, I don't believe
who's to
it's-
say he had a full understanding? He even says himself that each person only saw like what they were doing,
Yeah.
right? So nobody really has a full picture.
The thing is, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
so for me to believe that
There's a
it's,
couple of things though, right? Like he did say that they scrubbed him, and then they actually found evidence of him in school pictures at
Yeah.
Caltech and
no,
MIT.
some of that stuff did happen.
Mhm.
And so that does help to build credibility, but it doesn't make those things that weren't the extraordinary claims. Like,
No.
so those things
No,
that were
for sure.
proven, we got evidence of them, and it wasn't extraordinary.
But the fact that the government's tried to scrub him of that sort of lends credence to the other things. You know what I mean? The fact that they try to hide him at all.
it doesn't lend credence to it being actual alien technology, though, from another
But
world.
it lends credence to the fact that the government's hiding
Oh.
something.
I believe he definitely worked there. I believe he was working on experimental stuff.
Yeah.
I don't believe that it's necessarily as crazy as he remembers it to be.
Yeah.
Well,
Think of what a
course.
stealth bomber would have looked like
Sure.
to him probably back then.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, out of this world.
I don't know if they had stealth. They
Figuratively.
might have had them in
Not
99
literally.
actually, but I don't actually know when stealth bombers came out, but
Yeah, they were
they've been around a long time. I
They
know
have
they
been
were
around a
around
long
when I was
time.
a kid. So.
60s, 70s, something like that.
Okay, so bad example, but
Okay.
yeah. What else do I got here on this?
Yeah. Keep going.
So he worked on 9 different craft, he says.
Yeah, or he worked on one craft. He
He
saw.
said, he saw 9 different crafts.
Yeah, he saw 9 different craft, but the ones that he saw, he only saw for a second.
And he
they were all
says that he
different
brought
shapes
his
and stuff.
friends to come and look, and that's when the whole thing like kind of got busted. They busted him and his friends.
Yeah, watching the test flights on the.
It's
he learned
interesting
when
to
they
me
did the
that
flights.
nobody talked to those friends at
Mhm.
all in this documentary. That would seem to me, if I was making a film, I would be going to look for the people that actually saw the thing,
Yeah,
other than Bob Lazar.
yeah,
Right.
that makes sense.
So that's a point in the con column for sure.
I don't know.
It's tough. So they tried to disappear him. Another interesting point, this George Knapp that broke the story in 1989. Kind of interesting. He's a Coast to Coast host,
Oh, okay.
like once a week on Sundays. And that's actually how I got into Joe Rogan, because I
Yeah,
used to listen to
the
Coast to Coast,
conspiracy
all
theories.
that crazy shit. I used to listen
Yeah,
every day
Art Bell.
almost. Yeah,
Right.
Well, Art Bell back in the day. It's been George Norrie for quite a while. But,
Right.
But that actually led me, just congruent topics on YouTube led me to Joe Rogan, and eventually I just left all that conspiracy shit behind because it's mostly crazy. But
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Still a good episode. I'm glad I listened to it for sure. I would recommend it.
But the other thing, though, he hasn't really profited, Bob Lazar. I mean, maybe he is going to now.
He says he's not, for sure.
For sure
that
he
he's
will
not.
now, though. Off the Netflix doc?
Well, no, he
Netflix
said
doc?
he wasn't going to take any money from the Netflix doc, that all that money, anything that he did get, he was going to give by way of donations to like schools
Oh,
for
did
the
he say
science
that?
programs and stuff like that.
Well,
Yeah.
that's, I mean,
Any money that he does get from it, which is definitely a thing that makes him more credible.
yeah, but not everyone's driven by money either.
No.
Some people are just driven by fame.
And even
right?
if
And
he's not taking direct,
acknowledgement.
yeah, so he's not getting direct money from this. Him being higher profile makes him just more like employable. More people will want to work with him on whatever other science stuff he's doing. I don't really know his other
He
work.
seemed to have some sort. Well, I watched the doc, and he has some sort of a sciencey
Just like
experimental
physics.
lab type thing.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what they do, but
Physics stuff.
they
He-
said, but I still don't know.
Yeah.
So,
I thought it was interesting that he had taken like a rocket engine and attached it to a car, and that's how they found out about him. They were like, "Hey, let's get this guy who's not really accredited physicist, but just a crazy mind, and let's bring him in on this project."
Yeah.
It's a good makes for a good story.
it's a great story,
Yep.
if nothing else.
Alrighty, well, should we get into our UFC picks here?
Let's do it.
And we've got a special guest joining us here in the studio, Jeff Campano.
That we do.
One of my longtime best friends, and when I first came up with the idea for this show, I kind of talked to Jeff about it, and he was considering coming in more regularly, but he's here now.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Yeah, welcome, Jeff. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. Before we get into UFC, I just wanted to state the Stealth Bomber 1989 first flight. So
Is that right, eh?
Yeah.
I assumed it was further than that.
I was playing Jamie,
Oh, yeah.
being quiet and googling things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so 89 listeners. I'm sure you were all Googling that as well, and you've looked it up before. There's one thing I know about people who listen to podcasts: they're constantly Googling things.
No, that's interesting. 89 though,
That is interesting
because that's the same year that all this Lazar shit started.
Mm,
Maybe he was working on bombers, stealth
correlation.
bombers.
Yeah, not causation.
Yeah.
So you're sitting here. You're sit in your own chair, Jeff Cavanaugh.
I was just trying to share the mic with you, bro.
You don't want to share my microphone.
Yeah, I just watched Star Is Born, and I saw how Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga did it, and I got an idea. Like, let's make
Yeah.
some sweet podcasts together. Ruben.
Yeah. I don't know what your ideas are. Next thing you know, my wiener's getting touched. So let's get into
Wow.
the UFC. Big UFC here. This is kind of the big fight week one of the year, where they try to put like an amazing card together, and they did not disappoint. Do you want to start from the main event, or do you want to start from the
Let's go main to bottom.
main to bottom? Okay. So John Jones versus Thiago Santos. This is exciting. Thiago Santos can head kick any motherfucker, and he's got some like crazy highlight reel. Like remember, and the last fight we saw of him was an epic battle where they were both just swinging. I forget who it was. Jimmy Manoir.
That's
Right?
right. Yeah, and he fucking killed him pretty well.
Yeah, it was, but they were both like smashing each other's faces. It was back and forth a lot, and
Yeah.
like it seemed like neither guy was defending. They were both just throwing reckless abandon. I doubt he'll come into the fight with John Jones in that same mindset.
I wonder how much he's going to be actually afraid of John Jones and the whole John Jones unbeatable fucking thing that exists. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. That's certainly a factor. John Jones's sort of mental games of just being the best.
Did you see the weigh-in?
I didn't watch it. No.
He's fucking way bigger than Tiago.
Oh yeah.
Fucking, he's like 6 inches taller or some shit.
Okay.
So I mean,
But then he has those like skinny little ankles and knees and tiny little legs.
on paper, John Jones really doesn't look like the
No,
best
but
fighter.
you get leverage from those long arms.
Mhm.
And yeah. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, I think John Jones is going to win.
Yeah.
Um,
He is the minus 600 favorite.
absolutely. Mainly, first, the picograms.
Yeah.
I think are making a huge impact. As Rogan said, right? How much does picograms over time
Yeah.
add up to a minor change?
Yeah.
So,
Or picograms over 5 years ago when he was really, when they were whatever the next level up from pico is. I don't, the maxograms. They, those benefits stay with you. I
yeah,
think.
totally. I think so.
Yeah.
We're
Right.
sharing a mic here, me and Jeff. So,
Yeah. My system, I can only plug in 2 mics to my interface.
Yeah.
So,
do we
that
want to
means-
start on the predicts here? Do we want to go
Sure.
around a circle?
I
for
think,
each fight, you
yeah,
think, or-
I agree. I think John Jones. So all of us are in agreement on this one. John Jones. I put $10 down. I will win $4 if he wins.
Big risk.
Otherwise, I lose $10.
Really playing by the seat of your pants there.
Next fight is Holly Holm versus Amanda Nunes. Amanda Nunes heavily favored here, minus 400 favorite.
The only
And-
thing I've got for home here is she stood up pretty well against Cyborg. So maybe she can take Nunes' punches.
Yeah,
Maybe. We'll see.
maybe.
Nobody has yet. So
Holly Holm, yeah, she can take a punch for sure. But
didn't Kat Zingano beat Nunes though a few years ago? I think she's like the only one in that circle that actually beat Nunes.
I don't have the stats in front of
I'd
me,
have to
but
look that up.
that does sound kind of familiar.
Yeah, I think I got Nunes on this one.
Me too. Jeff?
I'm going to go Holly Holm.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm
by head kick.
switching it up.
Any further care to elaborate on that victory?
No,
No?
not really.
Just
I think she's gonna
somehow-
win. Yeah,
Somehow, some way, she's going to pull it off.
yeah, absolutely. I'm
Think it'll
basing
go
it.
to decision?
No, I
No?
don't think it go to decision. But
Oh, so Holly Holm by some kind of
by some kind of
knockout or
yeah.
disqualification. of-
absolutely. I'm
of
basing
Nunes?
that entirely on the fact that she fights out of Albuquerque,
Okay.
and Carlos Condit, one of my favorite fighters, fights with her.
Okay.
And he had one of the best battles of all time against Robbie Lawler. I would argue one of the best UFC fights ever.
Sure. Top 10, probably.
So,
I'd say.
That's what I'm going
That's a
with.
great one. Okay.
Also, John Jones trains with her as well.
Yeah.
So that's another interesting point.
Hmm.
I think this might be Holly's last shot at a belt.
Yeah, I could see that being the case.
She's had a pretty easy go considering the loss column on her.
Yeah.
Like the UFC throws her bone after bone after bone.
Well, that epic win against the most famous woman of all
Ronda
time.
Rousey, yeah,
ever
that gave her basically a ticket to fuck around as much as she wanted. But,
Yeah, essentially. She's always going to be able to. They're always going to be able to sell her based on that.
but any
victory.
other fighter that's lost like she's lost,
Gone.
they might have been gone.
Yeah, a lot for sure.
Well, you'd argue that in with the female MMA, there's just not as deep of a talent pool. So
That's part of
like
it.
if she was in Shane is nodding his head in agreement, just so everyone knows. So I think that is one reason why fighters would have a longer career,
Mhm.
or at least have more. But also at the same time, she did knock out Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
So, and I have no recall of who she was fighting, but remember when we choked out and she was punching all the way till she goes to sleep?
Yeah. I
Attitude
remember
like
that.
that's gonna keep you in the UFC.
For sure.
That was who was that? Fuck, that was one of my other favorite fighters. She stopped fighting since Misha Tate.
Yeah.
She choked out Holly, but interesting point there. Holly had her in points.
Holly was
Dead
winning
to
that
rights.
that fight for
Like,
sure. Yeah. You know what else I wonder? Like, because they might get bloodied up the same as any men do, but they're not getting the same kind of force of impact wise.
But
So
this
like,
is what's maybe different about
concussion.
Nunes, and you can almost see it on their face because Nunes,
Nunes
beat
hits hard,
Ronda
for
Rousey
sure.
as well. Only she beat her about 5 times faster than
Yeah.
Holly Holm did.
and I would argue also probably that a head kick from Holly Holm is going to be near as devastating as a punch from like a 170-pound welterweight.
Yeah, fuck, Holly Holm's
Right?
tall, man. She's strong.
Yeah.
She'd beat my ass.
Oh yeah.
I
Any of
guarantee
us.
you that.
Probably all three of us together. We can hope. Next fight, Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren. And you think Masvidal, Shane, you were telling me.
100%. Also, I hate Askren so much.
Oh, yeah?
And I hope he gets his stupid nose broken.
Well, Masvidal is plus 185 underdog.
I know.
So if you did put some money down on Masvidal, I loved it. His last fight, he looked amazing. Was it Cowboy he fought?
No,
Who did he fight?
that wasn't his last one, was it?
I don't know.
He beat someone last, but he did beat Cowboy too, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's looked great in his last few fights anyways. Very strong. Great stand-up skills. So,
But also, he's pretty good on the ground as well.
yeah, probably not as good as Askren, I would guess.
But
Wrestling-
Askren, I feel like, has nothing up top.
No, and he didn't look like he did when he was fighting Lawler.
Also, Askren should
Lawler
have
was
lost
teeing
his
off
last
on him.
fight too.
You think that Lawler
I think that
out?
Lawler wasn't out, and I think when Lawler got away from him, was going to knock his fucking head off.
I think Lawler was out, but he was out just for a second, and then when Askren relaxed, he came back to, and he doesn't even maybe realize that he was out. But you don't drop your arm like that in a normal. That's not a normal
In
way to drop
hindsight,
your arm.
I may have deleted my hard drive upstairs and may need to look back on that fight again. But
I think he was out, but for a second.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, I've got Masvidal on that one.
Okay, I'd be amped to see that. I didn't put any money anywhere. Jeff, what do you think?
Well, I looked into this before I came over here.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't really sure about this. So, Masvidal is Muay Thai, I believe, or kickboxer, one of the two.
Okay.
Right, and his last fight, which was against Santos. Was
J-
it kid? No,
Not Junior
No, no,
Santos,
no.
because he was
no.
not
Anyway,
Thiago Santos. They're much both
Sorry.
bigger.
Forgive my bad.
DeSantos? Maybe it was.
Yeah. It was for sure. He was a kickboxer. Kickboxer too.
Yeah. DeSantos has crazy kicks. One of the best
exactly.
in the UFC.
So, but
And-
Ben Askren's going to be completely different,
Yes.
right? He doesn't have kicks.
Yeah. Askren's going to try to wrestle soon, early, and to great effect, I think.
Right. So it really depends on once they're in the clinch. Like, can Ben Askren take him down out of the clinch? That's what's going to be the big. Or is he just going to get kneed and kicked to the body, to the dad body, and
Askren seems pretty durable, though, too. He
yeah,
can-
exactly.
You know, look at what he took from Lawler. That was
So-
a crazy beating in the first minute. Of
One
that
big
last
win
fight.
we kind of missed there was March 16th against Darren Till.
Oh, yeah.
He
Right.
fucking, what was it? Oh no, it was a round 2 knockout. That's right.
Yeah.
Darren Till went down
He
hard.
looked fantastic.
That's the
in that
last time
fight.
we saw Masvidal. I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say Askren. I'm gonna go with the
let's go
with the
against.
betting favorites here.
Yeah. Okay. So who's next here? Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah, versus Luke Rockhold.
Yeah. I love Rockhold, but the way Rockhold dances around with his head in the air and his chin up,
Yeah.
if he does that against a heavyweight, he's going to have his head knocked off. So
So you're gonna go Blachowicz?
I want Rockhold to make a comeback here, especially since he's moving up.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually picked Rockhold because I really want him to win, but we'll see.
But you think it's unlikely?
I actually know nothing about Blachowicz either, so
Rockhold is the minus 255 favorite, and I wonder if that's maybe because he's the more famous name, versus whether his skills are actually, because all these odds are just as people bet more and more on one thing, the odds become more in favor of that person. So it's not really based off of like who has the best skills necessarily, right? So sometimes just the more famous name will make the person more like a greater odds.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't seen Rockhold in a while. That's not really what I mean, but he used to be prominent, a little more prominent, a little bit more on the coverage.
Well, he was the world champion.
Yeah, exactly. And
Had the belt.
I'm sleeping on him a little bit, to be honest. I'm like, you know what? I've seen him on Instagram, Brian Callen, just another Joe Rogan throw in there.
Yeah, the community.
Just community. Yeah, exactly. Just having a good time, smoking cigars, wearing suits, drinking whiskey, and
You love
you're
Chris
Blachowicz.
Weidman, and Rockhold took the title from Weidman, so maybe that makes you a little bit biased against Rockhold.
True.
Do you think that's a factor?
That's fair. I do love Chris Weidman
Yeah.
almost as much as I love Carlos Condit. Or actually, I like them both at the same time.
I actually loved how Bisping took the belt from Rockhold.
That was
Because
awesome.
that was like,
One
Rockhold
of-
didn't even give him any respect at all.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
he just came in and fucking mollywopped
Yeah.
him.
No, that was one of my favorite victories of all time in the UFC.
That reminded me of like when you're in school and like you're like the kid that's like not super cool, so like people don't really think you're cool. And, like Luke Rockwold, who is like
the cool kid.
is classically handsome, is the cool kid.
Yeah,
He's like
he is a
"You're
handsome
bit," and then, then Bisbing comes in with an eye full of gel and just beats the shit out of him. I love it.
Yeah, that was great. And then I think the main card is started by Diego Sanchez and Michael Chiesa.
Yeah. Is this Chiesa's first fight back since he got the glass in the eye? Or has there been one since that?
I mean, you have the records of the UFC in front of you, don't you?
No.
Shane?
No, I don't.
You probably should.
Not all of the UFC.
Yeah, it might be. Chiesa is heavily favored, though. He's a minus 390.
Well, I mean, Diego Sanchez is like, he's been around a hot minute, right? Like, isn't he
Yeah.
from the original? Almost like the first Ultimate Fighter. I'm pretty sure. I'm just looking up Chiesa's record here, and
Yeah, I gotta go with Chiesa. I mean,
totally, yeah.
I think he's the fresher fighter, and but you never know. Diego Sanchez, I can't remember the fights in my head off the top, but I do know that I've watched him fight, and he's been in some great fights.
So he beat Chiesa beat Condit, who's you were mentioning not too long ago. He beat him December 29th. That was Chiesa's last fight. So he has fought since the Condor debacle.
Okay.
Looks like a couple times. He lost to Anthony Pettis. At 07-07-18, and then also lost to Kevin Lee. That was when Kevin Lee was kind of on his upswing there.
Okay.
But,
and can you click on Diego Sanchez's record there?
Yeah. I'll have to actually
Where's
type
he
it
at?
in. But what was his last fight? He's fought not too long ago. I'm pretty sure we saw him against a new guy. I believe it was his first fight.
So he's coming off of a win there.
Yeah. There it is, Diego Sanchez.
So if I'm thinking, Michael, how do you say his last name?
Chiesa.
Chiesa. I think he won the first Ultimate Fighter live.
Was that right?
Yeah, I only know that because I looked this fight up earlier today, right before I came over here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we know him mostly for getting glass in the eye when Connor threw the dolly.
that was him. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was on Dollygate.
Dollygate, yeah. Pretty sure we coined that.
Yeah.
So Sanchez's last fight was not too long ago, March 2nd, and he beat Mickey Gall,
Mickey Gall, yeah.
which kind of brought him back into the limelight.
That's right.
So, side kind of related to this fight, do you think Chiesa made more money? Think he'll make more money if he wins this fight, or more money from Conor McGregor after he threw a dolly at his bus and got glass in his eye?
Was there? Did
I
they
got
settle
money on
that?
the Conor thing.
I don't know.
Not all settlements are,
They're
if
not
all of a sudden Conor
divulged?
McGregor's camp gives you a golden envelope with $1 million and it says, "Hey, don't press charges."
Hey, fuck off.
You
You
you're
take
like,
that.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I think I'm done fighting.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what separates a real fighter, I think, from the rest that are just there for the money, right? As soon as they get that money, which makes the guy wonder about Conor, because since he's gotten so rich, he hasn't really shown that Conor amazingness that we used to see.
That's true. I mean, taking the 2 years off to do the silly boxing fight that I was also a huge fan of, and I'm glad he did. That's obviously going to take a toll, and he couldn't get back in the swing of things to really become at the elite level of the MMA that he was prior.
Yeah. He also just had a kid though too,
Yeah,
and like,
that'll take
he's-
some ear focus.
yeah, he's the kind of guy who's like, you know what, I'm gonna have this kid. I'm rich as his great grandkids don't need to work.
Yeah, he's not
So-
motivated really by that
So
anymore.
he'll just take the time off with the kids. He
Yeah.
can be training. He could fly everybody out. He have all these training camps. He's making whiskey.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever. At the same time, though, too many things like making whiskey, all that stuff.
Too
I
many
wouldn't be surprised
distractions.
if he has a fight or two back, and then he's gone forever.
Yeah,
That's what I could see. I need to see him come back and win even one more time. I'd be so happy to see him walk
Yeah.
off after that.
come back, one fight, George St. Pierre.
Fucking Khabib broke my heart. I cannot wait to see somebody kill Khabib. Honestly, I just can't wait. Who's
Well,
up for him?
I'm sure that's coming.
Poirier, right? Dustin Poirier?
That's in Edmonton. No, 241 was that Poirier and Khabib?
Yeah, it's definitely them fighting. I don't
Yeah.
think that's Edmonton. Why are you upset? Are you upset about Khabib because of the Robbie Lawler thing?
What was the Robbie Lawler thing?
Nope. I was thinking best. Never mind. Why are you upset at Khabib? Sorry, I got Ben Askren and Khabib mixed up in my head because their names are so similar. Why are you mad at Khabib?
He killed my hero.
Connor.
That's it. That's all.
Oh, Connor was your hero.
Connor was pretty fun. Connor was a big bag of entertainment.
That's not it, though. That's not all. Khabib got his belt originally, and granted, he beat Connor, and when he did that, that's to me when he gained his belt. Before that, he built an Iaquinta at fucking ranked 8. Who was nowhere near a belt sniffing.
Was that an interim belt, though?
No, that was the
That
real
was
belt.
the full legit belt.
And when that happened, Tony Ferguson was holding the interim belt.
Right. Yeah, it should have been against Ferguson, but Ferguson was injured from tripping over the fucking wires in the backstage at a UFC promotion.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. But one of the things that makes me love Khabib is when Joe Rogan was saying, when you could hear him, like when he had him down the ground, Khabib saying, "Let's talk now.
Yeah.
Let's talk now." That just made me like, you know what? That's awesome.
Yeah, and he wears a silly hat, and I like people that wear silly hats.
That's
so
true. That's true.
I wear a silly hat from time to time.
Yeah.
There's one to my left right now. I was wearing earlier today, but the headphones don't fit over top of my head when I wear it with the side brims.
It looks like a night of good fights anyway.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be
pretty excited about it.
A fun time. We're gonna go cook some burgers up, and have some burgers before the fights, and yeah, it's gonna be a good night. So I guess we can wrap it up here.
Yep.
You wanted to record some kind of commercial that we can put in at the end,
We'll work
pushing
on that.
people towards our Amazon links, and
I'm going to take the mics home and I'm going to play a little bit
Yeah?
this week and
Okay,
see what
cool.
I can come up with.
I'll look forward to hearing that.
But on that note, everybody listening, if you're buying something on Amazon, go ahead to our website and
Go to
buy it
our
from there.
website. Yeah, click on the little tile there for Amazon, and we'll get a little cut.
Couple of peanuts.
Yeah, they'll hook us up.
I would just like to say, as a long-time fan, short-time listener,
Yep.
I go through Amazon Link all the time, and it costs me nothing, and I hear it helps you guys out, so I use it all the time.
I appreciate that, Jeff Capito.
That's excellent.
And yeah, so I don't really have anything, any shows coming up or anything like that. How's the art going? You got any art you want to promote?
No.
Go see Shane's art on
Do
Facebook.
that, yeah. Go Shane Roach 777 on Instagram.
There you go.
You'll see lots of things I've drawn before. I'm a bit art frozen right now.
I have
but
some
it's coming.
ideas. I had this idea that I thought we can make like I guess it's not so much of like a a fancy drawing like you do, but more of a cartoon.
Mhm.
Lee Harvey Weinstein, and it's like Harvey Weinstein in the back of the convertible, like coming on to fucking Kennedy, and
Okay.
like getting rapey with Kennedy. I think that would be a funny, and then
be
but with
neat.
like maybe the newspaper sticking out of his back pocket. I don't know. Lee Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
It'd be a funny cartoon.
I think that's a good idea.
All right. So thanks for listening, everyone. We'll see you again in a couple of weeks.
Right on. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.